Members, we have attained the quorum. It is time to make a start. Shall we invite the administration in, please? I'd like to welcome to this meeting Deputy Director of EPD, Mrs. Alice Zhang, JP, Assistant Director of EPD, Mr. Mo Wai-chun, JP, Principal Environmental Protection Officer Mobile Source, Mr. Dave Ho, and Mr. Wong Lok King, Government Counsel, DOJ. At the meeting on the 7th of March, members raised many questions to which the administration has kindly given a reply. I'll be calling upon the administration to brief us on the replies to start off with, please. Mrs. Zhang, Chairman. A couple of things arising from the questions, and we have made available the supplementary information. It wasn't until this morning that we gathered together all the information for members. Emission standards for diesel private cars. There was a question about the policy objectives and LEV2 in comparison with the Euro standard. There was a question about the practices in other jurisdictions. We have sent out all the details in the paper. Perhaps I invite questions from members. Right, the paper is there. Okay, then any questions regarding the replies to our questions dated March the 8th, March the 7th. I've got a question. I find it rather difficult to look at the appendix in its entirety. Now, if I may put a question here, page 4, para 2, you mentioned the NOx has come down by 14% compared with 1999. Are you talking about 2014 figures or 2017 figures? 2016, right? 2016 figures. The other thing is the mainland vehicles running in Hong Kong using the ICP, any restriction on their emission. In the last sentence, there is no specific requirement on exhaust emissions level. Are you going to be amending the regulation? It is pretty stringent in Hong Kong. Presumably the mainland vehicles in Hong Kong should be subject to the same standard. Chairman, for non-commercial vehicles, it is not the international practice to control their emissions. What we are concerned about is the emissions from commercial vehicles because of the sheer load of emissions from them. That the commercial vehicles have to fulfill the license in Hong Kong, so they have to fulfill the first registration requirement. And let's say there is a goods vehicles with the dual license plates, then they have to fulfill the Euro standard. So you do have the requirements, don't you? Yes, for commercial vehicles. As regards non-commercial vehicles, we follow the international practice. But for commercial vehicles, they have to follow the Hong Kong standard, but for private vehicles, there is no such requirement. Yes, that's in line with the international practice. Mr. Yu Siwei? Very simply, Chairman, Euro 6 prices that the administration will put it off, but still the Euro 6 models will be more expensive than the Euro 5 models. In the interest of environmental protection, the government is subsidizing the trade with a sum of money, but the vehicle companies will be taking a cut to start with. The idea of the payment is to encourage the trade to upgrade their vehicles. You may not have the answer for me today, but in reviewing the subsidy in future, I hope that you would give some considerations to this. When the Euro 6 models are at a very high price and the trade cannot afford them, the government should then adjust the exquatur payments that would incentivize the trade to upgrade their vehicles that much more effectively. And this also shows the administration's determination to improve air quality. Mr. Yu, I was going to follow up on this after I'm done with the tripartite meeting. Yes, I'd just like to put down a marker here. We had a tripartite meeting. I'm sure the participants are very clear that other than there being choices available, the most difficult challenges they face would be the maintenance. Euro 4, they have got a hang of it. According to them, Euro 5, they're beginning to get a hang of it. And if you bring in Euro 6 models so soon, they are concerned about the maintenance problem. For Euro 5, if you take the vehicles back to the dealers for maintenance, it would take about a month. It would be difficult for the drivers. After the meeting, we have some suggestions. First, we urge the administration to consider putting back the implementation for 6 months for private vehicles and 1 year for Euro 6 commercial vehicles. Second, in terms of maintenance, the government should take the lead to make sure that the maintenance sector would be fully capable of maintaining the vehicles instead of being briefed on the concepts of the accessories. Third, that's precisely the point raised by Mr. Yu Siwei. For pre-Euro 4 exquatur payments, the exquatur payments were pitched at the Euro 5 models. European cars are more expensive than Japanese cars. Now, if they upgrade to Euro 6, then they would enjoy the waiver of $69,000 for heavy-duty vehicles. But as I said a moment ago, for heavy-duty vehicles, if it costs $1 billion, then they will have to pay $200,000 more. $69,000 will not be quite enough to offset the amount. So we'd like the administration to consider adjusting or introducing a new incentive to encourage people to upgrade themselves from Euro 3 straight to Euro 6. In your reply to our meeting on March the 7th, you said that it would be unfair for those who have already upgraded to Euro 6. I think other than the franchised buses, there are not that many that have been upgraded to Euro 6. Now, Euro 3, the deadline is the end of 2019. I think what they've done is probably an upgrade to Euro 5. It would not be unfair to them because the exposure payment was pitched at Euro 5 to start with. I hope that you would consider this in future, and this is not something for today. Mr. Wuchiwai. I've got a question about the models. Now, we keep talking about Euro 5, Euro 6 models. These are the models at different phases, and they have specific requirements in terms of emissions. Now, my question is, in future, in the manufacturing sector in Europe, do they have a timetable to phase out the Euro 5 models and replace them with Euro 6 models? Do they have any timetable to phase out the Euro 5 in transition to Euro 6? Now, if that's the case, then I can visualize that as the supply becomes more abundant in Euro 6 models, the price will come down gradually, and that's a normal situation. Second, also the California LEV 3 emission standards. In the market out there, can you tell me for these LEV 2 models, do we have vehicles in Hong Kong that compliant with the LEV 2 model? Now, for the imported diesel private vehicles, what sort of standards were they? If people have to move up to LEV 3, what sort of models are we talking about? Now, perhaps diesel private vehicles are not as good as the petrol vehicles or electric vehicles. Then does it mean that for LEV 3 models, their emissions would be better than petrol vehicles? Is that the case? Diesel private vehicles enjoy a lower taxation, or that they're tax-free to start with. Why is it that when people bring in the diesel private vehicles into Hong Kong, we have to make sure that the emission standard must be lower than that of the petrol vehicles? I'm not talking about the electric vehicles because it is zero emission. And you need to have a more comprehensive policy. You allow them tax-free for diesel private vehicles, but at the same time you allow them more liberal emission level. It doesn't make sense to me.
Who's going to answer the question? Mrs. Zhao. Well, Chairman, earlier on, you talked about the tripartite meeting, and I'll start with that. At the first subcommittee meeting, we talked about the commencement date for Euro 6. We also talked about LEV 3 commencement date. We have explained about our position. And afterwards, we had an unofficial meeting with the trades. Many members of the trades attended the meeting. We were very frank during the meeting. We exchanged views. We are happy to see that the trades agree to the grand direction. There are just different opinions concerning the commencement date. At the last hearing and also at the EA panel meeting, we explained about the proposals concerning Euro 6 and LEV 3. As for the proposed days, we think they are justified. We have also taken into account the views of the trade. And for the Motor Trade Association, it's reiterated that there would not be any problems with supply. At an official meeting, we understood the concerns of the trade, and they also hope to see more brands and more preparation be done. Different political parties have urged us to reach a consensus with the trade, including the commencement date, so that the enforcement of the regulation can be smoother. So we went back and thought about it. We agreed on changing the commencement date, but today we cannot table the latest version of paper to members. As for heavy-duty diesel vehicles, the original commencement date was the 1st of January 2018. Originally is 2017 and is postponed to 2018. Now the trade wants us to give them more time for preparation, and the chairman hopes that we can provide more training on maintenance. So we agreed that the dates be postponed to the 1st of October 2018. That's for Euro 6 heavy-duty diesel vehicles. As for diesel private cars, well, there were some other questions just now. Maybe we can give you more detailed answers concerning comparisons. On the whole, in 1998, we started LEV1, and then in 2002, LEV2. So for private cars, the standards have been more stringent. In 2009, well, at that time we gathered certain data, and we found that the laboratory tests were similar to Euro 5 standards, so we allowed the vehicles to be imported. And now we would like to raise the standards to LEV3. The original commencement date was proposed to be 1st of July 2017. We understand that the trade wants to have more time to prepare for their sales plan. So now we agree that the date be postponed to the 1st of October 2017. That is, it will be postponed for 3 months. We understand that the trade is willing to accept this revised commencement date. So when it comes to air quality and the actual operation of the trade, we hope that we can strike a better balance with a new commencement date. That is about the date. Thanks. Mr. Mok, are you going to answer Mr. Wu Chi-wai's 3 questions? Just now, Mrs. Chang has answered the second part of the question. As for the second part, when it comes to the manufacturers, they will look at different places' standards and manufacture vehicles accordingly. Well, for Hong Kong, we are very concerned about the vehicle price after the introduction of Euro 6 standards. Now we have to maintain competitiveness in the market. So our proposed timetable is the 1st of January 2018. Most vehicle suppliers, including European vehicles and Japanese vehicles, they can manufacture Euro 6 vehicles. So that can maintain competitiveness in our market, and vehicle prices can be maintained at a reasonable level. Well, just now Mr. Wu asked you about European manufacturers. After manufacturing Euro 6 vehicles, will they continue to manufacture Euro 5 vehicles? Yes, because some countries will need it. More and more manufacturers will be manufacturing Euro 6 vehicles. So there will be more supply of Euro 6 vehicles in the market. By doing so, the price would not go up outrageously. I would like to follow up, Chairman. For the California LEV2 standard. Just now, the government said that in 2008, because of some laboratory test results, the judgments concerning LEV2 vehicles performance were queried. Actually, their RDE test results are inferior to the lab test results. So after importing such vehicles, well, you know that there are some Volkswagen models under this category. So in Hong Kong, for these types of vehicles, did they use fake test results to pass the Euro test and were imported into Hong Kong? If so, what can be done about them? I would answer the question first, and then Mr. Mok will follow up. I would like to stress that what we are talking about now is not about the fake lab test results. For road tests and lab tests, the results are indeed very different. We are also very concerned about that after learning about the incident. So some of the models can be bought in Hong Kong. The manufacturers agree that they will no longer sell those models. And for those that have already been sold, they will do some follow-up work to rectify the situation. And they will start to do the rectification soon. In Europe and other places, they are already doing this. That is, for vehicles like this, they would have to be ratified so that the emission can be up to standard. So can you tell me the timetable and the plan? Yes, we will give you an answer later. So you already know about the whereabouts of these vehicles? I don't have the information in hand today. After the meeting, we can provide information to you. Yes, I'm sure the government has this kind of information. Mr. Look. Thank you, Chairman. The government hasn't responded to the trade's aspirations. Well, yes, I understand that it's postponed for a year. So would they postpone further? I think just now they have answered your question. For heavy-duty vehicles, they will postpone the commencement date by 9 months. So how about the ex gratia payment? They haven't answered about that yet. And also about maintenance training. Well, there are some small and medium vehicle repair workshops. It's already very difficult for them to fix Euro 3 vehicles. So for Euro 6, it would indeed be difficult. And if these vehicles have to be maintained by the dealers, then there will not be a level playing field. So for small and medium workshops, how can the mechanics grasp the skill to repair the latest models? Who's going to answer this question? Mr. Mok? Thank you, Chairman. Maintenance. Yes, about maintenance. Chairman, last week we conducted a new round of maintenance seminars. We joined hands with vehicle manufacturers to do that. Now, we worked with the Hong Kong Commercial Vehicle Maintenance Association. They thought that the trainings were very helpful because the manufacturers shared their training videos with the mechanics, and detailed explanations were given. So after such briefings, we will invite the vendors and the association members to conduct a review. On that date, the Maintenance Association already said that the training was very useful. So we wanted to send a stronger message to them. We want to hold many more workshops like this. Chairman, you've heard earlier that training sessions have been provided, but they were not found to be very useful. Yes, I know which session you refer to. So we would like to share our experience with them. Well, this is like an after workshop or post-workshop review. We will continue to hold training sessions like that. Well, about 300 people attended that training session. So if it's good, people would like to attend them. We hope that by doing so, the mechanics would have a better understanding of the maintenance skills. It's good to have the manufacturers explaining to them. Mr. Le Chung, do you want to ask any follow-up questions? No. Mr. Mark? I will try to go back and find out more about the training sessions. Now, if you just talk to them about the design concepts of the defeat devices, it's different from training them how to repair the vehicles. So I will follow up on this. And you asked about the latest ex gratia payment scheme. That is, would you encourage Euro 3 vehicle owners to upgrade their vehicles to Euro 6 straight away? Well, this is not included under this piece of legislation. Maybe I can write to the Environment Bureau. Can you sign the letter with me so that we can ask the government to do something about this? Yes, I will do that. So I have consulted the trade. Now, you are making a counter-proposal of postponing by 3 months and 9 months. They accept that, so we will do that. Any other questions from members? If not, we can now start the clause-by-clause examination. Who's going to take us through the clause-by-clause examination? Mr. Mock, please. Thank you, Chairman. At the first subcommittee meeting, you said that for these amendments is relatively simple. But you can still see over 60 pages of amendments. The reason is that there are technical details. So, Chairman, when we do the clause-by-clause examination, maybe I would give member an overview first, and then for the technical details, maybe we can just talk about the salient points. There is no need to read them out one by one. Yes, when there are questions, we will put them to you. So for the overview and for the whole amendments, we are trying to achieve 5 goals. First, because we are going to introduce this new standard, and later on I'll also tell you more about this. That is, there will be 3 F, G, and H. That is when the Euro 6 standards will be adopted.
Well, the motion hasn't been ready yet. We'll present it to LegCo later on. Second, in the legislation, we need to have 3 schedules regarding the Euro 6 emission standards. We have to work them in. That's why we have schedules 17, 18, and 19. In the schedules, there are vehicles that don't have any more first registration, like the Euro 1, Euro 2, and Euro 3. So we're going to delete some of the schedules and provisions. The fourth thing that we're going to do is for LPG taxis, we allow them to use both LPG and petrol. We are using the exemption ordinance, so we're going to be changing the legislation. As long as they fulfill the emission standard, they can either use LPG or fuel. We'll be changing the millimeters to mm, and we are giving, we're updating the titles of some of the provisions. one thing I'd like to say, this goes into effect on the 1st of January 2017. That there is the commencement date. It should be 1st of July 2017. Let's refer to the marked up copy. 02. Please refer to engine of direct injection type. That has been crossed out because when the legislation was drafted, we only had a compression ignition engine, and therefore we had the direct injection. But this is also happening in petrol engine. So in 003, in the Chinese version, we have the direct injection type. Also, 003 in English, direct injection type or indirect injection type. That's to make it more comprehensive. In Chinese 003, you have the evaporative emission that has been crossed out. 002, in the English version, we have crossed out the evaporative emission, because in the new emission standard, we have incorporated that into the standard. We don't need to have an additional definition there. Any comments? No. Let's move on to 4A. 0004. Here we've added bracket 4. This regulation does not apply to vehicles specified in regulations 7G17 and 18 and 7H6 and 7. In the European model, the heavy-duty diesel vehicles don't have to fulfill the smoke emission standard, because this is a very low standard. So we are bringing ourselves in line with the Euro practice. Legal advisor, what sort of vehicles are you talking about? 7G17 and bracket 18 are diesel goods vehicles, more than 3.5 tons. 7H6 and 7 diesel buses over 9 tons. For buses less than 9 tons, we won't make them upgrade to Euro 6. We don't have the timetable for that yet. 0005. Here I told members that for the outdated standards, we would delete them altogether. So page 0005, 7, regulation 7 will be deleted altogether, because that refers to Euro 1 to 3, and they no longer exist. Unless there are any further questions, I move on to 7B. 7A has been repealed. Again, we like to repeal 7B, because that's Euro 4 standards, no higher than 3.5 tons. So that will be repealed. 7C. 7B, 1D, refers to diesel private vehicles. Now, the commencement date is the 1st of July. How do you deal with this in the interim period? Well, I meant to talk about this in the later section. This has to do with the motion. We will put it back by 3 months. So regulation 7B 1D will be reinstated in the motion. So the LEV2 standard will be maintained, and we will be moving a motion, and members can go into greater detail about it. So Schedule 12B will be reinstated. Yes, indeed. Please. 7C. It is about Euro 4 standard more than 3.5 tons, and so this will be repealed like we did for 7B. 7D is about motorcycle and tricycles. Now 7E, this is rather complicated because this is about the Euro standard for Euro 5. There are certain vehicles that are still using Euro 5, like buses no more than 9 tons. And light buses, we don't have a specific timetable for the supply of vehicles, and they will be kept on. I don't propose to go into detail about them one by one unless the legal advisor has any comments to make. Yes, please. Let's move on to 7F 0012. It is a terribly complicated provision there because it covers different design. What page? Page 0012. 0012 7F. It is pretty long because for different vehicles, petrol, compression, diesel, LPG, and so on, we have different dates for them. Now for 1st of July 2017, taxis and private vehicles will have to fulfill certain emission standards, and they would link with the schedule. I will go into detail about this later on, and what sort of standards have to be fulfilled will be specified. But basically, they are the Euro 6 standards. And if it is Euro 5 standard, this will be so specified as well. Number 6 is about the diesel private vehicles. The date will be amended in the motion, is that right? Yes, in the motion that will be amended. Yes, correct. Chairman, unless there are any questions, shall we move on to 7G 0016. G is about goods vehicles and light buses. As I said earlier on, for petrol, diesel, direct injection, non-direct injection, more than 3.5 tons or 3.5 tons, we have set out the emissions standard just like in 7F. No comments? 7H 0023. Now for the starting dates, we will amend them in the motion, and members might wish to have a look at the motion regarding the dates. 0023 7H. That's in relation to buses. For vehicles not more than 9 tons, 7H bracket 2 refers to Schedule 16, that's about Euro 5. So if it is about Euro 6, then we would adopt a Euro 6. If it is about Euro 5, we would link it up with the schedule regarding Euro 5. All right, item number 8, 0026, section 8. Now in number 8, we also talk about Euro 1, Euro 2, and Euro 3. If they fulfill certain standards, if it is not worse than the Euro standard, will allow them registration. Now this is outdated, so that's why we have deleted 7, 7B, 7C. Now 7D will be kept on because there are buses or light buses and there are no more than 9 tons that will be kept on. Now for 7F, that's Euro 6 private vehicles, taxis. 7G is about goods vehicles and light buses, and 7H or 7G is about buses. 7H is the PM number, the particle number. And legal advisor, please. 7H for the heavy-duty vehicles and buses. It will be put back by 9 months. What about the date, 1st of April? No, that's a minor thing. And there would be a 6-month transitional period. Chairman, Section 9 then. It is the same as number 8. We delete those that are not relevant and include 7D, 7E, 7F, 7G, and 7H. For special duty vehicles, we don't regulate the emission standard. That's in line with the Euro 6 practice. But I'd like members to have a look at the English version. There is a minor amendment on 0026. We change kilometers per hour to km stroke h. No change in the Chinese version. Section 10, 0027. Now, in the English version, we change millimeters to mm. There are similar changes in the following pages. We have included number 3. That's about the LPG taxis. They're using both petrol and LPG. We don't have to do the exemption all the time, so that's why we are amending the regulation. 0028. In 3A, there is an amendment there. That's 10.3A. Again, millimeters changed to mm.
For 11, 12, and 3, no change. So now let's move on to 14. The amendment is very simple. Now we've seen some other provisions like this. It's about Euro 1, 2, 3. We delete them. So we are doing the same amendment here. All 3.0. We have added 7E brackets 4. That's to add petrol, goods vehicles, and light buses. This is not an addition. We are deleting 7E bracket 2, bracket 3, and bracket 4. Those are pre-Euro vehicles, and we deleted them. Chairman, 0031 is similar. We have added new regulations for no special reasons. These are just new vehicle classes. Because of the introduction of Euro 6, we are now adding this. For the term easy regulation in the Chinese version, you said 理事會規則, and now you've deleted 理事會. And what's the reason for that? Is it because they have changed their Chinese name, or it was a wrong name in the past? What they have updated the names of the documents. For the Chinese version 0030 for 日本國土交通及旅遊省 we've changed it to 國土交通省. That's the latest name. As for the Chinese version, page 0031, that's a similar change. That is about EC documents. And page 0032 for the Chinese version, we also changed 日本國土交通及旅遊省 to 國土交通省. Chairman, now we are on page 0033. Is Schedule 2, because we haven't changed Schedule 1, that's about smoke. And for Schedule 2, from 2 to 13, all the clauses are deleted. Well, so what are these schedules doing? I want to explain to members so that members would understand why we are deleting them. For Schedule 2, as Euro 1 standards, for example, diesel taxis, diesel vehicles, goods vehicles, not more than 2.5 tons. So for Euro 1, it's no longer needed. And for 2A, it's about Euro 1 diesel private cars. Euro 3, well, it's Euro 1 standards that can also be deleted. Schedule 4, I'm sorry about that. It's about LEV 1 standards. So it can also be deleted. It's not used anymore. Schedule 5, Euro 2 standards. This about vehicles that are lower than 3.5 tons. And Schedule 6, they are about vehicles more than 3.5 tons. It can also be deleted. Schedule 6A, about Euro 3 standards, vehicles above 3.5 tons. We will delete it because Euro 3 is already outdated. Schedule 7 is about Euro 2. Well, when we implemented Euro 2 and 3 standards, they were implemented in phases. We also had to work in accordance with the timetable in Europe. So for this is for vehicles under 3.5 tons is deleted. And for Schedule 8, it's about motorcycles. This is Euro 2 standards. It's outdated, so it's repealed. Schedule 9, motor tricycle is Euro 2, but now we're talking about Euro 3, so it's deleted. Schedule 10, Euro 3 standards for vehicles lower than 3.5 tons. We deleted. Schedule 10A, Euro 3 standards for LPG taxis, so it's also deleted. 10B, Euro 3 standards for vehicles lower than 3.5 tons is Euro 3 Phase 2. So because it's Euro 3, it can also be deleted. 10C, Euro 3 LPG light buses is deleted. Schedule 11, before Euro 5, that is Euro Fund 2, Euro 4 on-board diagnostic system. It can also be deleted. 12 is also deleted because it's Euro 4. As the legal advisor said just now, we need to reinstate diesel private cars. We will include that in the motion. 13 is also deleted because it's for Euro 4 vehicles that are heavier than 3.5 tons. We have to keep 16 because it's about motor tricycles. And that's for 15. And for 16, it's more complicated because here are some Euro 5 standards. Now we are deferring the timetable, and also there are no timetables for certain vehicles, so we would only delete the relevant parts. because now we are postponing the time. So in the motion, we will change some date, for example, commencement dates and end dates. So certain dates in the schedule will also be changed. As for 17, it's simpler. It's about Euro 6 standards. What are they? Now, when people talk about Euro 6 standards, they would refer to Schedule 17. Schedule 18. Now, for Euro 6 standards, because it's not only about particles concentration, they also talk about particle numbers, and this is put under Schedule 18. Legal advisor, I would like to ask about Schedule 17. The page number is 0067. Here is a typo. Roman 3. United States Environmental Protection Agency instead of Environment Protection Agency. I have talked to the governments. They say that this would not lead to any interpretation problems. So in the future, the DFJ would change it in accordance with the power given to them. Chairman, I want to go back to 0056. That's Schedule 16. Just now I've been talking about deletion, but for Schedule 16 we have made some changes. Let's look at page 0056. We have changed it to Regulation EC instead of Commission regulation. And also for California Code of Regulations, we have put the date of the version here. And also for the Chinese name, 國土交通省, that's the most updated one. And then 0058. We have also changed the Chinese name of the Japanese department. 0059, the same. We make a similar amendment. Schedule 17, it is new. Just now I've talked about it. And then Schedule 18 is also new. As I explained just now, it's about the particle number. As for Schedule 19, it's also new. Because in the EU for vehicles over 3.5 tons, they would have to use the portable emissions measurement system. That is to measure the on-road emission. So for this schedule, it sets out the requirements and it refers to the relevant documents. Chairman, for the amendment regulation, that's what I told members just now. So any questions, welcome. Members, any follow-up? If not, then we have already gone through the Chinese version. As for the English version, I believe relevant amendments will be made. So now let's look at the legislative timetable. Now, at the earlier meeting, we made a decision on the 22nd of March at a council meeting. I will move a motion to extend the scrutiny period, and it will be extended to the 12th of April council meetings. We have finished the scrutiny of the regulation, so please pay attention to the following timetable. After the extension, it will be the 12th of April, and we will report to the House Committee. It will be on the 24th of March. For the notification for CSA, it's the 5th of April. So I hope the government would pay attention to these dates. the subcommittee will not move any CSA. So with regards to the changes in dates, the government will be doing that. And on the 24th of March, I will be reporting to the House Committee on the work of our subcommittee. So any other business? If not, we can end our meeting here. Thank you.